Welcome everyone to episode one. For those of you tuning in straight from the introduction, you'll know that this is talking about glocal. So what is glocal? Well, certainly over the last 12 months, Tribal has seen the need from clients to really want to kind of drive improved customer experiences at a much more local level. We're seeing a lot of large global clients either shifting from a global to local model or creating sort of regional hubs designed to adapt and originate the content, comms and strategies coming down from that global level. Whereas this isn't a new concept, it's very interesting to see a sort of trend towards this. And I was just really keen, Tom, to sort of get your interpretation of this, sort of what glocal means, I suppose, to you and Lonely Planet, as it is slightly different to all clients. Is this something you've been seeing? Is it not something you've been seeing? Keen to get your point of view.
Well, working in the number of industries that Lonely Planet works across, the travel industry, media, publishing, digital, lots of different facets within each of those. I think we really see the importance of speaking with a very relevant voice to specific markets. So our three key territories are UK and Europe, North America, and Australia and New Zealand, and they're all areas where Lonely Planet probably means something slightly different to people. I think in Australia and New Zealand, we're seen as being a really sort of cherished brand that people still feel a large amount of kind of ownership of, really, because of where we've originally come from. I think in the Americas, we're definitely a sort of challenger, a challenger brand aiming at making a bit of a splash in different ways, but still with an audience that retains a huge amount of affection for the adventures and the trips that we've had in the past. And in the UK and Europe, I think we're a pretty well-known name for lots of different types of travel. And maybe the perception changing as the perception of travel changes, to be honest with you. That the idea that you might get information from a particular place for a particular type of trip, I think that idea is changing. And also this idea that, one person would only take one sort of journey. I think the idea of one traveller taking many journeys is a very relevant one. It's quite a roundabout way of saying, really, that we really tailor our messaging both to, our customers and to other businesses on a sort of pretty much territory by territory level, and I think that's only going to intensify. We see the needs of the world at the moment when it comes to travel as being really hyper local, really up to the minute, and that's both about a response to the pandemic and also about the way in which people actually want to behave when they're in destinations. So we did some fascinating research a while ago, just looking at how people actually plan some of their trips. And what we saw was that it was so much about just what's around me, not very far away. Of course I want these well-known experiences, but I'm also just going to use social media to find things that just within quite a short distance of me and go and seek out those places. So understanding that as well as you can, I think, is one of the keys to understanding, the needs of the audience in 2021 and beyond.
That is definitely really interesting, and obviously no one's got a crystal ball, and we're talking here to say nearly getting on to the 1st of December, seeing already things changing again. If you're kind of looking forward to sort of to next year, is there any data? Is there anything especially based on the kind of everyone getting back to travel in 2021, maybe now stopping over Christmas as borders start to close again? Can we learn anything from that, and can we kind of predictive models moving forward, I suppose, and sort of seeing how that can affect sort of how, when, why you're putting content out there and making it accessible to people?
I think everything in terms of time windows has got much shorter, and I think that's going to remain the case probably indefinitely now. So the idea that you might sit down in January and plan where you're going to go in August, well, I'm sure that people are going to get to January and want to be able to do that. Whether they feel that they've got the certainty to do that, that is definitely going to take some time. And we see that ourselves, whether we're putting a print product out or some of the new digital products that we've put out around health and safety, a very recent launch that we did with our Health Hub. I think that has been something which is we've understood it has to be updated all the time. I'm talking to you on a day when travel regulations and and different restrictions are changing and borders are opening and closing, and the only way that you can really respond to that and stay relevant is to be on top of it constantly. I think that's the price of a ticket, really. That's the sort of starting point for you to have credibility with an audience. I actually think there are other things that are really important too, though, and there's some trends that we've seen bubbling away for a while. This taste that we've all acquired, no matter what market we're in, for domestic travel and re-engaging with the places around us, that's not going away. And while it's been driven very much by the pandemic, it's the seed of it was planted elsewhere. And really the improvement in facilities and the desire to maybe have less of an environmental impact is a really, really important part of that. Ditto for things like train travel. But I also think that that the idea that when you're in a destination, you want to hear from a range of voices, and particularly from a sort of local perspective on the place that you're in. That's something else that I think is really, really important. And above all of that, and I think this is well worth noting, is that it doesn't really seem, from what we can tell, that people not being able to travel has dented their wish to. That there's a robust recovery of demand whenever a market opens up, whenever a destination opens up. People want to get back. Yes, it will take time naturally to get back to some of those thresholds that we've seen in the past, but the will to travel and the desire to travel is still there, and it's undimmed. Which, while it's not surprising, is also something that I think that is really encouraging to see from our perspective.
Excellent. Well, I can't think of a more positive note to end that on then. So thanks for that, Tom. Really interesting. Coming up in episode 2, Tom and I are going to continue our conversation around sort of moving from transactional to experiential. So we look forward to seeing you back there. Thanks very much.
Thank you.